Hi everyone. This is the second lesson on making classroom materials. In this lesson I'm going to focus on how to create graphs of functions, and I'm going to be using two different pieces of software. The first is a website called wolframalpha.com, and the second is the dynamic geometry software GeoGebra. So let's go to first Wolfram Alpha. So you can see if you go to wolframalpha.com, you're immediately brought to a page that has an input bar. And Wolfram Alpha is a lot more than just a simple graphing tool. This is a computational knowledge engine, and if you put anything into the input bar, it's going to try to collect data about it, statistics about it, or it will try to evaluate any mathematical expression that you put in. Now, this is a nice feature in that when it tries to evaluate mathematical equations or expressions, it typically gives you a graph of them. So let's try graphing. Well, actually, let's just put in y equals x squared plus 2x plus 4. And I'll hit enter. And what Wolfram has done is it told me how it's interpreting what I put it in. So it said, okay, I'm interpreting that as y equals x squared plus 2x plus 4. It says this figure is a parabola. And then it gives me two plots. Now what's nice about these plots is that they're pictures that you can just copy and paste. Now there are a few issues, and I'll get to that in a second, but if you're just trying to get a really quick graph of something for a demonstration purpose or something else, this is a really easy way to do it. So if you right click on this and go to copy image, and then go switch back to, I'm using LibreOffice as my Word package, now I can just paste the picture in. Now, a few things about this picture. If you want to resize it, you can just drag it on the corner. You can notice as I'm dragging it that the horizontal and vertical are dragging independently, so holding shift will keep them keep the ratio between them. You can also change some of its properties by right-clicking on it and going to picture. And in this page, I like to do a few things. First, if I want to force the ratio to stay the same, I can just click on Keep Ratio. Then anchoring, I like to anchor it as a character. And in position, vertical, I like to keep vertical in the center, and then I choose to character. So what this does is it will make the picture center itself on a line in the center of a character. And this is nice because if I like to type text, you can see how the text is in the center of the picture. Now this is just a complete personal preference, but I think at least keeping things as characters is nice, because if I were to hit enter, this picture is being treated as a really large character. So if I were to center the line or align the line to the right, you can see it's treating it just as if it were a piece of text. Now, a few things about the graph that I'm not crazy about. First, you can see that there's this piece on the right saying x from negative 2.5 to 0.5. I don't want that in my picture. The other thing is that you can see that it's broken the y scale. There's a little break here. Now, I can get rid of this one, but getting rid of this break, I'm not sure how to do that. So going back to Wolfram Alpha, in order to get rid of this piece, you just need to tell it where you want it to evaluate. So I'll say from x equals a negative 4 to 2. And then hit enter. And now you can see that it's evaluated it from negative 4 to 2. And it's gotten rid of that. So if I copy this picture, copy image, and go back and paste it. Now my image doesn't have that piece. As far as the break in the y scale, you noticed, I don't know if you did notice, I'll go back, on the first one, the first time I had input this, it gave me a picture that didn't have a break. And if I had put in, let's see, so that's x from negative 10 to 10. There's a way to get a picture without a break, but as far as I know, there's no way to zoom into this. So there are some limitations, but Wolfram Alpha is very good for just generating a graph very quickly. Now the other piece of software that I'm going to look at generating a graph with is GeoGebra. So you can download GeoGebra from geogebra.org. You can click on the download button, or you can click over here on the download tab and actually launch the application, launch GeoGebra right here by clicking on Web Start. RC 4.0 is the release candidate because they're going to be releasing a new version of GeoGebra rather soon. So here is GeoGebra, and I've got a different video on the basics of GeoGebra that if you want to just see what this program's about. We're just going to be using the input bar in this video. So I'm going to put a function down here. It's very similar to Wolfram Alpha. If I want to put in the function y equals x squared plus 2x plus 4, I just don't put in the y equals. So I just say x squared plus 2x plus 4, hitting enter. It graphs the function. And I can come over here and move the graphics view around. Now, a few things about GeoGebra. You can do a lot more to the function. If you want to redefine the function, simply clicking on it over here, and this is called the algebra view. So clicking on the function in the algebra view, you can actually go in here and change it. So I can make that 2x squared if I wanted. You can also change the properties of the function. So if you wanted to make the line thicker or make it a different color, you right-click on the function and then go to Object Properties, and you can see there are some color options here. So maybe I'll make this blue, and style options. Here's the line thickness. You can also change the line style. Now, getting this into your word processing program, if you're on Windows or Mac, it's very easy. Linux, it takes a little bit more work. So in any case, the first thing you do is you go over and select the pointer tool, and you simply left click and drag a box around whatever it is you want. So maybe I want to get the origin in there. And now, if you're on Windows or Mac, you go to Export, and you just do Graphics View as Picture. So there's a shortcut for this, Control-Shift-P, and that will paste it to the clipboard, and then you just Control-V, you just paste it into your word processing program. Now, on Linux, there's an issue with the Java and the clipboard. So you can still do this, but what we need to do is we need to save it as a picture and then import the picture in. And this might be useful even if you aren't on Linux, if you want a picture of something. So it's the same tool here. So on Windows and Mac, I would simply click on Clipboard, but on Linux, I'm going to click on Save. Notice you can change the resolution here. You could change the scale. There are also some other options for format, but a PNG is just fine. I'll call this Test. Now, to import a picture, I'll go back to LibreOffice, and I'll go Insert, down to Picture, from File, and then just pick the picture. Notice that it pasted it in, and I can still right-click on this and go to Picture to change some of the properties. The default in LibreOffice when you paste in a picture is to anchor it to the paragraph. I like to anchor it to character again, and I like to put this at center and character. Now again, those are just my choices working with things. I find those to be the most useful options. So there you have it. Those are two different ways to input graphs of functions into your word processing program. One other thing I should show you is on GeoGebra, if you zoom out, you can zoom in and out using the scroll wheel. Notice what happens to the X and Y axis. They're changing. So sometimes you might want to force those things to stay a certain distance, have certain tick marks on there, and that's possible. You just need to go to the graphics view, And so if you go to Options and go down to Graphics View, there's an X-axis and Y-axis little tab down here. And what I'm going to do is just tell it what distance I want the X-axis to display. So I don't know if you can see that. I'll change it again. Actually, I can make it 2. Do you see it changing down here? I'll change it back to 1. So maybe I want 1 along the X-axis, and perhaps a distance of 2 is what I want along the Y-axis, or I could make that 1.5. So again, this is helpful if you want to. Now I can zoom in and out, and it's going to keep those little tick marks. It does get a little difficult to read, right? When you start zooming out far enough, it might start dropping numbers. You can see it's dropping numbers down here. So there are some limitations to this, but most of the time when you're graphing something, you might want to be able to see certain things. All right, so I hope that was helpful. Again, these 2 software packages, the first one is just a website, wolframalpha.com. The second one is GeoGebra, so geogebra.org, and both of them are free and cross-platform.